Hello, everybody. I guess I'm next. Not certain. This is Tina Marie, and it's so great to be with you here this evening at our wonderful conference here of champions, and we are celebrating champions today. And I am so honored to be part of this wonderful summit and working with Paula Fellingham and her amazing team to deliver the best content that can uplift our lives, and that's why we're here, right? And so today what I'm going to be doing is sharing a little bit about the human dynamics training that I've had, and the best way to do that is to help us understand how to navigate negativity. So I'm going to start by sharing my desktop, and then we'll start the PowerPoint, and we will have a Q&A session at the end if you're open to discussing, and I hope you like the tools that I'll be sharing with you here today. Again, this is Tina Marie Jones-St.Cyr, and we're about to get started. So here we go. What you see here is a PowerPoint that I've created for us today to use as a guide for discussing navigating negativity in your life. And this one topic I get requested to talk about in many different forums, from corporate America and international forums to working with families right here in my office one-on-one, and then also individuals that attend any of my live events. And so I pulled this piece out, this nugget out of training, because you're going to be able to understand this tool that I'm going to share today and then apply it right into your life. That's my hope for you. And then if you do have any questions, of course, you can always connect with me afterwards, and I'll be able to answer any of your questions. I want you to be able to have this and then understand how to use it so that it can transform your life of any negativity in your life whatsoever, and it's an amazing tool set. So let's get going. Who is this person who has your ear right now? I always say that our attention is our most valuable asset. Many times we look at the resources of having time or money, but the truth is you have something even more valuable, and it's your attention span. So right now I want to say thank you for allowing me to share with your attention span, and this is a little bit about me, so that you know who's training you right now and sharing this information. I am a certified professional coach with over 12,000 hours of coaching. I've coached individuals, families, businesses, executives, and work inside corporations. I have 3 degrees to my name, and that includes international business degree, systems analysis and design, which means that I'm really great with strategy and processes. I have a holistic nutrition master's and also certifications in human dynamics from the Robbins Madonna's Institute and also from Arbinger Institute. I am a corporate trainer, work inside large firms and then medium and small size companies as well. I coach 12 to 13 people annually privately here, and that does include their families as well. And I also work with companies that bring me in for keynote. I have grown and profited more than 11 companies, actually. We have many joint ventures across the world where I help companies expand their operations, build their teams, and also understand the very tools that you're going to get a glimpse of today. Because what I understand is that everything involves humans. There's not really many ways in the world to create money and flow without interacting with humans. And so how can we have better human relations is what the majority of my training comes down to. And whenever we can have better human relations, we're able to have a more fulfilled life, happier life, and our health improves. We have happiness. It's amazing. So this tool today that I'm going to help you understand and how to navigate negativity will help you with those very human relations, not only externally, but also internally, because you're your own human, by the way. You're the first human you've ever known, and you get to know yourself more every day. So that's a little bit about me. You can find out more at tinamarie.com, but we'll cover that at the very end. First, I want you to get a lot of content right now and value for your time here with me. So let's start by asking, what is negativity? we're going to be going into that very concept so that we can utilize that as almost like a seed that's in our consciousness, and we're going to transform that today. So we're going to look at the sources of negativity. We're going to map that area, which is really just energy. We're going to map that in your life today. We're going to transform it, and then I'm going to teach you some tools and skills on how to view and have new perspective on negativity in your life, be it outside of you or inside of you, because each one of us could probably raise our hands that from time to time we've had that sabotaging mindset that's inside of our heads, and we want to make sure that we know how to harness that and transform it as opposed to it getting us. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And let's start by talking about negativity itself. Whenever I'm working with companies, teams, even individuals and families, I'll ask this question in a variety of ways. So what is negativity? Some people, if I'm up at the whiteboard, they'll say, it's negative people that's always criticize or complain, or maybe it's that person that seems to always have a chip on their shoulder. Maybe it's the nature of the media, always talking about negative things in our culture and only talking about those things that are going wrong. Sometimes we can even say it's politics, if we look at the political scene, and we could even say maybe it's war, maybe it's just disease. What's negative in our life? It would have a lot of different angles depending on which way you're looking at it. In any of those cases, what we would agree on, if we were all sitting in a circle together and having this discussion about negativity, and we had that all listed up on the board and all the various ways that we could define or exemplify negativity in the world and in our lives, we would agree that it's draining. It's not something that we wake up in the morning and say, yay, I get to go experience more negativity in my life. It's that thing that we'd say we definitely want to not experience. And if it is in our life right now, we'd love to know how to transform it. So I start with that so that we have a baseline of what we're transforming here. And a realistic way of looking at it, as opposed to holding a lot of affirming thoughts and sometimes avoiding the fact that we have negativity in our life or negative situations or those things that are draining us. Instead, let's be adult today. We're going to put on a nice inquisitive hat of taking a look at it and saying, okay, so why is it here? What is it wanting me to know? And how do I transform it? And that's what we're going to be doing. So in your life right now, if you were to think of situations, what situations in your life feel draining? That's a good way to take a look at it. I also have a viewpoint of things that would be what I call below the line emotion. So in fact, at the very beginning of our time together today, I was going to invite you to have a piece of paper and a pen in front of you, because I want you to be able to take some notes here. And let me get back on this slide. Take some notes, because I want you to start doing some of your own work. I can't be there with you, but if I were, I'd be giving you some more time to journal and do this work. And we do have a limited time together tonight, but you can do this work outside of the conference and the seminar that you're attending. So the one thing that I'd have you ask yourself is, what situations in your life right now feel draining? I'd also have you on a piece of paper write down what I call below the line emotions. And below the line emotions are those things that are draining and seem to distract us, take us away from the joy in our life, but they're nevertheless still in our life. So we want to get an inventory of those things, and then on your own, I want you to map, where are they? To be honest, this doesn't need to be shared with anybody else, and we're really not going to be fixing anybody else. We're only looking at our own lives, because we are navigating our own negativity in the life that we're so gifted to have right now. So the below the line emotions, if you're writing down with me, would include guilt, remorse, regret, resentment. We could even put sadness there, fear. Anything there that feels as though it's taking away from you. So write down in your own words what those below the line negative emotions would be. And then what we're going to do at the end, we're going to fill in the above the line emotions, which will be those things such as joy and love and happiness and fulfillment. Because we do have the entire expanse of human emotional availability to us, and we own the knowing that at any one time we can choose. We can choose that. And this tool that I'm going to give you tonight is going to give you that new perspective so you can choose literally in the moment. And it's absolutely amazing to see people shift whenever they realize, oh, I see it. And now it's not got me, it's something that I can have perspective on. It's beautiful. So I want you to have this mapping. So you're going to have that little sheet that you just started. You're going to have the above the line emotions and below the line emotions. And it's just so we understand the emotional spectrum, so to speak. And I love this one thing. A dear person in my life let me know that, you know what, negativity usually involves humans. And it's true, you know. I don't know that I could say that the plant kingdom or the insect kingdom or the animal kingdom has a concept of positive or negative thoughts. So it's things that we have the consciousness of, and there's reasons why we have the consciousness of this. It's so we can expand the good, the kindness, the courageous moments in our life. So negativity actually plays a part, it plays a role. So let's look at sourcing the negativity. We're going to understand where this comes from so that we can get new perspective on it. And you'll hear me use that word multiple times because the truth is, perspective is in the eye of the beholder, and it was quoted somewhere, I'm not sure who said it, but level of genius, in order to understand that we have a level of genius, is being able to see one occurrence of something, a happening, an experience, from at least 6 different perspectives. So whenever we can stand in the center of an experience and see from 6 different perspectives that same experience, then that's elevating and expanding our awareness and our level of genius. And from that mode, we can develop empathy, a new level of kindness and connectivity, and really reduce that attachment to anything that would hurt inside of ourselves. And another dear friend of mine told me that hurt people hurt people. It's a very simple quote. It's a very simple concept, but oh so true. And it goes down deep inside of ourselves to understand that the truth is negative people, negativity comes from hurt. And it's actually the understanding of where we hold expectations, where we have our own agendas, and maybe we're completely unconscious about having an agenda, but it's where you could say we have an attachment to an outcome. We have an expectation to an outcome. Maybe we have a rule set. You know, people are to follow the rules, and if they step outside those rules, then it could be that we feel as though we're hurt. And we don't ever want to feel hurt, but oftentimes it is an experience, it's a reactivity to a situation, maybe something we heard, something we saw, something that we remember. So I love that little quote. Real little quote, but real simple. Hurt people hurt people. And it helps us give perspective that if we are in a situation where we feel that the person that we're with is trying to hurt us, and you know, we're going to go into this tool in this next slide, and you'll get more perspective on that. Whenever we're in that situation, to have one of those 6 perspectives that we hold be that the person in front of us is feeling hurt, is feeling pain. So I'm actually going to put on my earbuds because I'm hoping you are having a really good microphone experience there, but I want to see if this gives us a little bit more. I've got a text from someone. So let's see. For sound quality. Okay. Sound quality. So hopefully that sounds better. So hurt people hurt people. Negativity usually involves humans, and it's where we hold expectations, agendas, and even have a blueprint. So I know in my life I have certain blueprints. I'm a mom, I have 2 children, and Mother's Day just passed here in May, and I actually celebrated her birthday this week on Tuesday. And so, not unknown to me, but I did my best to push it out of my consciousness that I had an expectation that my children would reach out and wish me happy birthday. and back on Mother's Day that they'd reach out and wish me Happy Mother's Day. And so I had these expectations there, and it was a blueprint that was running in the background. And the truth is, if I were to have gone through the day on Mother's Day or through the day on my birthday and not have received a connection from my children, I more than likely could have felt a bit of hurt. And in that could have, had some type of reaction or thought pattern, which could have thought less than of my children. But the truth is, I've done a lot of work, and most of us on this call know what it's like to do our own personal work. So we have a different elevated awareness of ourselves and of our fellow human and even of our relatives and our children in this case. And so we do our best not to have those expectations. But then again, on the other side, sometimes we get hooked. Sometimes those expectations do get us, and we can find ourselves on the other side of feeling not worthy, unloved, not respected, and we start to not trust, and from those things, that's where the hurt develops. And so here, whenever we're looking at sourcing the negativity in our lives, sometimes we will look outside ourselves to other people. That's easy to do, fair enough, I can do that too. We look outside and say, wow, that person's negative. That person has a negative outlook on life, or that person uses negative language. That person is not seeing the good in the situation. And it's easy for us to see outside of ourselves and identify it on the outside. And what we're going to do today, because we are wanting to grow, these types of conferences attract those people that have that personal growth seed within them. And I really honor that of you, is that we're going to also look inside ourselves. Yes, we can receive negativity from others, but the truth is, this negativity that we have control over, honestly, if there's anything we have control over at the end of the day, it's our own reactivity. It's our own decision making. And that's really what we know that we can navigate and move and transform, is that with what is inside of us, which is inside of us. It's only what is inside of us that we can ever transform at any one time. So I want to share this tool with you. This tool I call Boxes, and it's actually derived, and I've expanded it from the teachings within the Arbinger Institute. So if you want to learn more, and I know many people get curious, like, how can I learn more? I love this. I want to go deeper in it. Well, there's two ways you can go deeper in it. I want you to take a note. We're going to repeat this at the end. But I like to, share all the resources I can with you so that you can develop yourself as much as you love to. There's a book, it's called Leadership and Self-Deception, and I'm not sure exactly how to type in the chat box. I'd love that. Let's see if I can do that. I'm going to type in the chat box. I'm going to give you this title, Leadership. My microphone is muted. Oh, okay. I don't know why my microphone is muted. Hopefully I didn't do that accidentally, but hopefully you can hear us. And by the Arbinger Institute. So there you go. I want you to have that. That's the title of the, here we go. That's the title of the book that this is derived from. And it's a great study in understanding leadership, and we all are our own leaders, and we have this wonderful ability to lead others in our lives, and I applaud you for that. So in this box diagram, I want to take you through this. So the second way you can get this, because I did share that there's two ways, the second way you can get this is to go to my website. Again, this is going to be at the very end. Go to my website, real simple, tinamarie.com, TINAMARIE.com, and you simply download it right there from the front page. You'll see the way to download an evolved human experience. I'll show you that at the end of the slideshow here tonight as well, and you will get this diagram inside that book and a complete explanation of this tool set. So let's just go through it. What this is showing is that whenever we have two humans, those two stick figures there in the middle, and we're relating to each other from an open-hearted, respectful, trusting way, where you see in the middle there's a blue arrow, two people, they're having an experience, and it's where people see each other as people. They're not coming from inside of a box, but they see people as people. They are connecting. There's a heartfelt connection there. There's respect, there's trust, and the truth is, before there can be a feeling of love in any situation, there needs to first be trust and respect. And when trust and respect are present, we can feel love, we can feel connected. And in this diagram, whenever you download the book for yourself, what I'd love you to do is to understand that that is where we feel safe. Whenever we are outside the proverbial box, what we're going to be talking about tonight is the box is, when we're outside of the box, we feel safe. Now, that's really great whenever people can be authentic, can be forthcoming, can speak of the truth and not just their truth, can gain these multiple perspectives on a situation and be willing to discuss it openly and have curiosity be part of the connecting piece there for these for individuals, for humans, as we relate to each other. And that's where trust and respect can flourish. But you and I both know that things happen, and we can feel as though our trust is broken, our respect may be broken, we may feel as though something happened to us and we weren't in control, and fair enough, we have that emotional spectrum, the one we just wrote down. So that above the line, below the line experience of emotions means that you have an amazing way to feel alive. And it's beautiful. So we embrace that you have all of it. Now, as I describe the boxes here, I want you to go ahead on your paper, you're going to be writing things down, and then at the end you're going to be able to download an evolved human experience and get this to do it like a workbook on your own. Feel free to share it with your loved ones, even your clients. But I want you to be able to understand how to fill these boxes in. We're going to do it together. So on your sheets of paper, you can go ahead and just jot this stuff down, and we'll follow along in that way. So when our trust is broken or our respect is broken and that feeling of love or connectivity or authenticity feels tainted in some way, that's when we get to the place where people are seeing people as objects to our own happiness, fulfillment, safety, results, and it's easy to do. So go ahead and stretch with me for a little while, and let's go up to the top box over on the left-hand side, and it's called the better than box. And so think in your life right now of people that may come across as better than you. And, you know, we're all going to know somebody within our life at some point that has that, and it's fine. We can not judge them, and we can experience where they are. But inside of the experience that you've had with that person that comes across as possibly better than you, what are the qualities of that relationship? How do they come across? If you were to fill this box in, you could easily say they come across as competitive, they come across as egotistical, they come across as entitled, maybe self-righteous, holier than thou. There's a lot of things that we could place in this better than box as far as qualities of how it feels to be in relationship with that person that's coming across as better than you. Now, I stress that any time somebody's coming across with any of that way of being, any in the box way of being, we're going to go through all four of them. We've only handled one right now and gone through the better than box. But anytime anybody, including yourself, including myself, is coming from inside one of these boxes, it's because at some level they are hurt. At some level their trust has probably been hurt, or their feeling of respect, their feeling of self-respect or respect of the situation or respect of others, they don't feel safe. So anytime we don't feel safe, anytime, it is easier for us to go into one of four boxes. Sometimes we go into all four. So I just want to say that. I'm going to say that after each box so that you get it. You understand that hurt people, and it's not that our authentic selves are relating. It's because our inauthentic selves are relating. That scared, hurt, uncertain place is there. And fair enough, we all do it. So second box, Go down to the worse than box with me. So in the worse than box, let's stretch to think of somebody that we know or have experienced in our life that comes across as worse than you, worse off than you. We would typically typify this box as the victim mentality. So they come across as victim, poor me, worse than, their circumstances are worse than yours. Even if yours are bad, theirs has got to be even worse off. They come across as hopeless, and they can come across as wanting to be saved and rescued. And it's draining. I mean, draining to the point that we would really want to avoid them. And most of the time we consider that the negativity. But the truth is, any type of way of being in any one of these four boxes is what we could label as negative, because it's not authentic. And if you're in the room with someone whose conversation, way of being, either the way they speak or the actions they take, the way they treat others, the way they treat themselves, comes across, and they fit in any one of these four boxes, sometimes they fit in more than one at a time, that's what we're terming negativity. And why I'm sharing this tool so we can have an empathetic understanding of why they and we do this. And then because you've got the tool set in your consciousness, and now you're going to be able to ask yourself, what box am I in? What box are they in? It completely gives you a new perspective. It elevates your consciousness. It's harder for you to go into the box, and when you do, you don't stay in as long. Trust me on that. It's the beauty of understanding this. So let's go to the third box. On the upper right-hand side, the third box is the I deserve box. Now again, before we say what's inside this box, as far as qualities of the person that would be in the I deserve box and their way of being at that moment, I stress that anytime someone is coming from any of these qualities that are in the boxes, box-like ways of being, it's because they're hurt. They don't feel safe. Somewhere in their experience, there's been trust broken or respect broken, or both. They're not feeling loved. Maybe they're not feeling lovable. And in that way of being, in order to create a false sense of safety, go ahead and write that down on your notes. When they create a false sense of safety, a false sense of power, that's because they're inside the box. And they need to have that sense of safety. They need to have that sense of power in order to feel in control of their circumstance. Otherwise, life is pretty scary. So, that's in the box mentality. And fair enough. We know people that do it, and from time to time we've done it. So we're examining here why that happens, so we can navigate it. We can navigate it for others. We can navigate it for ourselves. And we shorten the time that we're in negativity because we understand its source. Third box, the I deserve box. In the I deserve box, this is the martyr box. This typically comes across as the box where people would say, after all I've done for you, you owe me. And this is where we can get into that push-pull, give and take. I do all this for you, and I expect this back to me. In the previous slide, I talked about expectations, rules, agendas, blueprints. Those easily fit into this box. We do things because we want to elicit a certain response from another person. Sometimes it can feel manipulative. We can feel like we're being manipulated by another person. Are they doing this because they're really truly being nice and there's no strings attached? Or are they doing this because there's tons of strings attached? And we want to resist that. We energetically avoid that like the plague, or we feel like we're being taken advantage of. In the I deserve box, ways of being is, after all I've done for you, you owe me. It's also entitled martyr. There's a lot of guilt there, manipulation, and you truly can't ever do enough to make this person feel worthy, loved, or trusted. And so that's ways of being of the I deserve box. Now we're going to go down to the must be seen as box. But before I get into the must be seen as box with you, I'm going to reiterate that any time any person has any way of being where they go into a box and start acting out in this way, it's because in their experience, in their circumstance, they feel not safe. They don't feel safe. And I stress those things so we get it. It's not like they're doing these things because it's their authentic way of being. They weren't born that way, but conditions have allowed them to get their needs met and to feel safe from inside the box. So we can have a level of empathy for that. And I'm going to help you in the next couple of slides understand how to get out of the box and how to navigate the negativity of other people that you may be able to perceive now are coming from box-like mentality and box-like ways of being. Fair enough. We all do it. We all have a way of doing this because, again, whenever we don't feel safe, we're going to come from the boxes. So the must be seen as box. The interesting thing about this box is it's a bit of a catch-22. I'm going to fill out the box, but then we're going to have a conversation because you're going to understand that the truth is our authentic self wants to be everything that we must be seen as at some level. So let's go ahead and fill this box in. One thing I want you to note, like in parentheses, is to say that a person that is in the must be seen as box comes across as anxious, comes across as overwhelmed, comes across as confused, can come across as worried, panicked. That's just their physicality. That's how their mentality operates and reacts to the outside world because there must be seen as, and you just fill in the blank, must be seen as attractive, must be seen as healthy, must be seen as lovable, must be seen as a good daughter, good wife, good son, good father, good mother, must be seen as intelligent, must be seen as witty, must be seen as flexible, must be seen as willing to help, helpful, must be seen as giving, must be seen as loyal. Just fill it in. Any of those things where we get to the must be seen as version of those things is like we're putting ourselves in a vice. Because when we're not seen as that way by the other in our life, we get triggered and feel unsafe. Now, the interesting thing here is it's quite pretentious. So we can build an entire life around must be seen as. I must be seen as these things. If they perceive me as this, then I'm okay. If they don't perceive me as that, then I'm not okay. Another term that we use in some of the human dynamics trainings whenever I'm at my certifications here is the idea of codependency. Codependency can easily develop from this way of being in this box. Because if we are putting all of our power in the expression and the understanding of what other people think of us, and we don't know what we feel on our own outside of other people telling us how we feel, how we think, what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to dress, all that kind of stuff. When we're not accustomed to literally living the dance of life on our own, understanding how to have our own power, our own security, our own confidence, our own sense of self-worth, our own sense of self-respect and trust and self-love, whenever we do not have those in a deep-seated, centered way, we can feel like the leaf in the wind that's tossed to and fro when somebody says something. So take, for instance, I'm going to have an exercise with you for a little while. Imagine someone comes into the room and they tell you, they look at you and they look a little weird at you. They furrow their brow and they look at you and they go, "Gosh, you're looking very purple today. Why are you looking so purple?" And we look back at them and we wonder, like, we don't even know what that means, but because they looked at me that way and their body language was like that and their tone of voice was that way, I must be pretty purple right now and it doesn't seem like it's a good thing to be. Well, fill being purple in with anything. Why are you dressed like that today? Why does your hair look like that? Why don't you drive the kind of car that I think is the better kind of car? Why don't you wear the right clothes? Why don't you have the right education? Why don't you have the right house? Why don't you have a better job? Why don't you weigh what you're supposed to weigh in order to meet my expectations of what you're supposed to weigh? Anytime we're measuring our level of well-being against another person's viewpoint, we've usually given them that power. And it's because somewhere inside of ourselves, at some point in our life, we didn't feel safe. And we gladly gave that power over to other people because we were unsure of ourselves. Well, through this exercise that we're about to engage in, I want you to take your power back. Because negativity comes from perspective. And negativity comes from not understanding where our center is. And oftentimes we can attract those things in our life because they're pushing us until we stand up on our own. And I know you're able to do this. I know you want to develop a huge level of self-trust and self-respect and self-love and self-worth. And you probably already have a grand level of that in your life already. And maybe, because you have that, you can now impart that to others. And feel free to use this tool. And feel free to download an evolved human experience off my website and learn it even deeper. I only have a few minutes with you right now, and this is actually a 4-hour training, typically if you were to come down in my workshops. But I wanted to give you something that I know transformed my life, transformed the life of hundreds of people that I've worked with individually, and I think it will be really great for you to study over this weekend, over the months to come. Just put on a new perspective of, what box am I coming from? So how can you tell if you're in a box? You can tell if you're in the box if you feel triggered. If you have any of those below the line emotions that we talked about, guilt, remorse, regret, resentment, fear, sadness, anything. Now, sadness at some level is going to be natural, especially if you've got a loss. And so you allow the sadness to be there, but whenever it takes you over and you realize, hey, now I'm getting depressed, that's a little bit lower than sadness. So you need to get yourself back out, because we can get our needs met by being sad, because we can stay in the worse than box and not expect it to do much. But the truth is you came here for more than that. And you're ready to get out of the box. You're ready to stay out of the box. And you're ready to be that beacon of light that stays out of the box and helps other people learn how to live that life. So let's go ahead and move into that. And you have this tool. You're going to have it again in the version that you're going to get off my website at tinamarie.com. So when you go to tinamarie.com and download an evolved human experience, you get so much more of the study of boxes. And then if you have any questions, always reach out and connect with me. So the next piece here is, how do we recycle this negativity? So fair enough, we understood the box type thinking. We understand that we can get triggered and go into the boxes. When we don't feel safe, we can create that false sense of safety from inside the box. And it's a way of being. People can lead their entire lives inside boxes and never know it. In fact, many people I work with, they say they ache for understanding how to have the sense of fulfillment. They hear about it, but they're like, I don't even get it. I know it's out there, but I don't think I've reached it. And they're probably right. There's a great quote by Tony Robbins, and it's, the quality of one's life is in direct proportion with the amount of uncertainty they can bear at any one time. I'll say that again. The quality of a person's life is in direct proportion with the amount of uncertainty one can bear at any one time. And so the truth is, in those boxes, we go inside those boxes because life feels uncertain, but we can just as easily stay outside the box. We can feel willing. I'm going to give you these tools that you can actually keep yourself out of the box. And from that place, you gain perspective, empathy, love, understanding, a sense of peace, joy, fulfillment. Life becomes so much more rich, has so many more colors. And there's like a stillness in between everything, surrounding everything. And in that place, miracles happen. In that place, we're no longer forcing things, they come to us. In that place, it's no longer a struggle, it's faith. And we show up. So I know that you would love to not only stay out of the box more for yourself, because we don't live in the boxes all the time. We're outside the box. We're in that authentic, willing, loving, trusting, safe, fulfilling place. But sometimes we get triggered and we go in. And so here, to recycle the negativity in your life, just look at areas of your life where you feel stuck right now. And you're doing this work on your own. I don't need to see it. Your loved ones don't need to see it. It's between you, your higher powers, your guides, whatever you want to call them, you and that source that knows you. So in the areas of your life where you feel stuck, where are they? Where are places in your life that you feel you've plateaued? Maybe it's your business, your career, maybe a relationship, maybe your health, maybe your spiritual relationship is plateaued. Where? Where is that plateaued, stuck place? Where is it? Just simply make notes for yourself. Where are you feeling drained or confused? And do you know your own triggers? Honestly, do you know those things that push your buttons? Feel free to journal those. Know it. When somebody walks in the room and put their hands on their hip and looks at you a certain way, does that trigger you? When somebody raises their voice with a certain amount of intensity, does that trigger you? When someone ignores you and turns their back to you when you're talking to them, does that trigger you? When someone cuts you off in traffic, does that trigger you? What triggers you? When I mean trigger, it's what causes that reactivity in yourself? What causes you to go below the line? We all have buttons. There's not one person on the planet that I've ever met that doesn't have an emotional trigger. But the key is understanding your own triggers. Not so you can avoid them, because that's almost like putting a badge on you and a target saying, here, I'm avoiding my own triggers. And it's going to say, okay, well, I'll just keep pushing them until you realize you don't need to avoid them. You just learn how to transform them. And that's what we're going to do here in the next slide. I'm going to drink some water. Hopefully you're enjoying this evening. Okay, so now we're going to transform the energy. I'm going to move this over so you can see the little bullet. I'm married to a chiropractor. She likes everything aligned a certain way. So, transforming energy of negative situations. This is a beautiful part. Remember, I was talking about perspective. Gaining greater perspective in any instance will bring a new level of genius, empathy, wonder, fascination, richness to your life. Even those things are working. So let's even look at the things that are working, because tonight we're talking about navigating negativity, but the truth is these tools work even when your life is awesome. Because when things are going great, you can say, how can I have this even deeper, even richer, even more? How can I utilize all the resources that I have even more? How can I expand my awareness and my understanding and my love of myself even more? How can I show up and contribute and be of service even more? This stuff works even when your life is going great. So here are 4 points. 1, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. We've heard this. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. We can have inflection, tonality on different things, and it means something different. It hit the nervous system of people around us in a different way. And we can be more responsible and accountable for how we say things to other people as well. And the awesome part is whenever we do become that thing that has maybe caused some hurt in another person, instead of defending ourselves and wanting to make it right, the best thing that we can do is like, tell me more. I want to understand. Because when you open up and are willing to hear them, it's like the super qigongness of human emotion. It's like you're a qigong warrior. You allow and you embrace the hurt that another person's feeling. And instead of thinking you need to defend yourself and make it right and transform their mind and have them see the truth and the clarity because you never meant it that way, instead we move over to their side and show an empathetic arm, put an arm around them and say, I really want to understand. It wasn't my intent, but please talk to me about it. And so it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Show up, be vulnerable, be authentic, trust in yourself. And oftentimes the difference between you doing that and not doing that is breath. Take a deep breath, show up, lean forward, step forward, and show up. Be there. Things can be done in 2 ways. In the download that you get from my website at tinamarie.com and Evolved Human Experience, it's a free gift, no obligation, just go grab it. It says in there there's 2 ways you can do things. You can do things in a resistant way, and you can do things in a receptive way. We can do everything in 2 ways. If we resist, we're inside the boxes. When we're receptive, we're authentic, willing, wide open, have faith, we understand our courage and our strength, and we come from kindness. The 3rd point here is hitting the proverbial pause button. It is a very smart thing to do to hit the pause button before we speak. to hit the pause button before we send that email reacting to something, to hit the pause button before we lay on that horn whenever we get cut off in traffic, to hit the pause button before we make any type of reaction that feels as though it's coming at something as opposed to being with. Receive what's in your experience, gain new perspective, find the stillness, hit the pause button, allow breath to come in and through you, and it can completely transform a negative situation. Not because you're in the box because you're right, not because you're in the box because you deserve it, and they deserve to understand who you are and what you are, not because you're in the box because you're blaming them and you're just being taking the high road, or must be seen as a nice person who's done their work and they've got awareness and consciousness where the other people don't. Any of that type of thinking is from in the box. The pause button that you're hitting is the pause button that's wanting to understand, is the pause button that's wanting to have empathy, to have stillness, to have perspective, to understand that there's something else being brought to you here in a wonderment and a joy that you may not have perspective on seeing yet. And the truth is, curiosity heals. It's the fourth bullet here. Curiosity heals. So how do we get curious? Stay with the situation instead of assuming that we understand what's going on. And in this next slide, I give you a little bit more of a way to get out of the box. Understanding. I'm going to get to the curiosity again because it plays a role right here. Fair enough, we can get triggered. We can go inside boxes. We can oftentimes go inside one or more boxes at a time. And I know that you know people also, probably that you're in a relationship with, that can be in one or more boxes at a time, or they can be in box 1 in the morning and box 2 in the afternoon and box 3 in the evening. It's because hurt people hurt people. And the first person they ever hurt is themselves. And you and I live at a different level. We want this to not be our way of being. We want to live for a joyful, fulfilled, amazing life. And everybody has a right to that. So how do we get out of the box? Getting out of the box is oftentimes in that place where we get triggered and we want to react. Sometimes the worst things that we could do is say something in that moment. We can hurt people so much with our words. In fact, there's a client that I was working with, and she texted me. She was at the grocery store, and she'd received a phone call voicemail from her sister. And in listening to the voicemail, she interpreted it as very hurtful. And the truth was that her sister did send that voicemail in order to elicit a hurt response because her sister was hurt. Again, hurt people hurt people. And my client wanted to react by calling her back and telling her off. And I said, no, you did great. You reached out to me. Let's go ahead and hit the pause button. But how long do I hit the pause button? Because I'm too angry right now. I want to do something. And I said, come to my office. She was at the grocery store. I said, just drive to my office. So she drove over to my office, and we sat at the table. And by that point, she'd already written, she went to a Starbucks, and she wrote a long email, and she wanted to have this email response back to her sister. And I said, before you hit that send button, let's go ahead and go through that email. She goes, okay. So she pulls it up, and I say, read sentence number 1. And it was almost a 2-page email. And she reads sentence number 1, and I said, well, what box are you in there? And she looked at me, she said, oh my God, we're doing boxes, really? And I said, yes. What box are you in? She goes, oh God, I'm in the better than box. And, oh, I'm also in the must be seen as box. Okay. So I struck out that line. So that line wasn't going to pass in going in the correspondence that was going to go back to her sister. So we marked that one out. And then I said, read the next sentence. And she told me what boxes she was in that sentence. And we did the entire email. The entire email. It took a long time. But we went sentence by sentence, and I asked her, what box were you in whenever you wrote that sentence? And the majority, 99% of the email, was from the boxes. It takes a strong, courageous heart to realize that that's how our communication's coming across. Because when we feel hurt, our level of perspective and ability to be empathetic and understand and connect is sabotaged. It's completely hijacked. And so at the end of evaluating that email before she sent it to her sister, I asked her, what's the truth here? What do you really want to communicate? Because there's only a few words that were not marked out. And she said, the truth is I want her to tell her I love her and I don't want a relationship to be like this. I want a relationship to be loving and kind. And I said, we're writing that, and that's the email you're sending. And by that point, we're both crying. And in fact, right now, as I retell the story, I've got tears in my eyes. Because the truth is, that's really the relationships that we want across the board in every area of our life. We want kind, courageous truth-telling, not our truth, but the truth, to come and be the communication that we all stand upon. And we want to be kind and loving. And so she sent that. And her sister called, and it's the cell phone sitting right there on the table, and I'm like, she goes, it's my sister, she's calling me. And I said, answer it. She goes, here? I said, yes, answer it. So she answers it, she puts it on speakerphone, and her sister's going, that's the best you can do? That's all you got? And she said, that's truly what I wanted to communicate. I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to fight with you anymore. I love you too much. By that point, her sister's on the phone crying, and she's sitting at my table crying, and I'm crying, and my client let her know that she's sitting at the table with me and that, you know, I'm there, and I help facilitate them. And then through that conversation, then her sister flew from Florida, where she lived, and came to our offices, and we worked with them as a family, the entire family, and helped them understand all the hurt that was coming through and the communications that they were having as a family unit, because there had been a lot that had not yet been resolved, and some major tragedies and things that had happened to them as children. And it was beautiful because they've got a very kind and loving and connected relationship now, because the hurt's now been transformed. So I ask you here, as we're going to be concluding my time with you this evening, where is the hurt ready to be transformed in your life, maybe the hurt in another person's life, and they're being asked to gain more perspective. You're being asked to gain more perspective in your life. And you honestly start asking yourself, why am I being triggered? You're never being triggered because it's to hurt you. The triggers are there to evolve you. The triggers are there to deepen your relationship with yourself, your relationship with humanity, and to develop a courage and a kindness and an empathy inside you that you're ready for. If you weren't ready for it, you wouldn't be getting triggered. Trust me. That's how this universe works. And then start to ask yourself the higher questions. Not the questions like, why is this happening to me? Why does this always happen to me? God, I wish I could stop attracting negative people in my life. Why do people always take advantage of me? Why do people always lie to me? Why can't I trust anybody? Those are below the line questions that feel draining even when we ask it. You know this. So let's go above the line. Above the line is, how can I understand this from a new perspective? How can I really understand how to have a richer relationship with life? How can I have more courage, more empathy, more love for myself and self-respect? How can I have boundaries that will allow people to know where I stand, me to know where I stand, and then I can start asking people, have I crossed your boundaries? What boundaries do you have? I want to respect and trust and love you, but we need to have some courageous conversations. Ask higher questions. Ask the questions that are going to evolve a new perspective inside you, a greater new awareness, and that next level of you that is ready to show up. And that's how you get out of the box. So tonight, we had this time together, and it was navigating negativity. And yes, we're going to have negativity in our life, but what happens is when we evolve ourselves and understand how to gain perspective, hit the pause button, learn how to get out of the box, take a deeper breath, understand that we can get triggered, but it's not necessarily us getting triggered by the other person. We're in control. We have an understanding of how to get in and out of the box, and we can close that gap from the reactivity to that hurt. You can start to close the gap. And when you close the gap from where the experience happened and how much hurt you felt, it brings you a new level of creativity, wonder, and fulfillment in your life. And then you have the courage and the strength, and nothing's going to knock you over. So I do want you to go grab your free gift. It is an evolved human experience. You'll get the boxes and understanding of that. You'll understand the human needs. You get to map your own human needs. You'll understand the difference between receptive and resistant ways of being. I map in there how you get out of the box. There's some really great journaling you can do in order to understand how you can create your own unique, sacred, out-of-the-box space for yourself and what really works for you. And then if you have any questions at all, you can always contact me. It's directly through my website. Just do some contact. I'll give you a free consultation, coaching. I want you to really have this in your life. I want you to understand how to use the tools here and elevate that understanding inside your world, because many of you are coaches and you're consultants and you work with other people, and that's my gift and contribution to the world. I want us to all know how to make this happen. And we're raising some wonderful beings called our children and the children of the world, and I think they're ready for this too. So reach out if you have any questions. I'm here for you all the time. Go find Leadership and Self-Deception to read even more about how you can become a greater leader in the world, and I look forward to being with you again in the future. Thank you so much for your time, and it's been a pleasure. Have a great night.